It is our promise to you. And when you know where you are, even if you're not where you want to be, when you know where you want to be and you understand that the journey is attainable, now you're not upset about where you are. And now, then and only then, can you live in the present and be the powerful, deliberate attractor to your experience that you are. We never get it done, friends. You never get it done. You're never going to stand in a place where you say, well, there now, I'm done. Never, ever, 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 ever. You never get it done. So in the moment that you start loving where you are, no matter where it is, maybe you don't love everything about where you are, but you could love the fact that you know where you are and you know where you want to be. And just taking that much of an emotional journey would release enough resistance that you would begin to let in the circumstances and events that you're asking for. So there is this range of emotions, all the way from what you would call ecstasy or joy, all the way down to what you might call despair or depression. And we want to help you to realize that no matter what label that you or we or anyone gives to these emotions, there are hundreds of labels, maybe thousands of labels that can be assigned to them. That what they really are is the sliding scale of the way you feel from wonderful to horrible. In other words, it feels really, really good all the way to really, really bad. And in the really, really good range is the feeling of empowerment and freedom. And in the really, really bad feeling range is the feeling of disempowerment and bondage. And every emotion that you feel is about that range. In other words, the labels really don't matter at all. We'll use some labels today because, oh, it's amazing. You all are very good at associating these feelings with words. And it's interesting, while you do vary, sometimes two people or many people will use the same word and mean different things. And sometimes you mean things that you can't even find words to describe that exactly fit. The words do not matter so much. What really matters is an awareness of feeling the empowered freedom that is really who you are, all the way to the feeling of disempowerment. And when you think about it, down here in those feelings of despair and fear and guilt, those are the most uncomfortable of emotions. Can't you feel disempowerment? Can't you feel absence of freedom in those vibrations? In other words, when you feel fear, isn't it always because you feel that you can't control something? Isn't despair and depression always about that? So when you start to pay attention to your guidance system and you start to realize that the way you feel is always about your alignment with this source energy that is you, the more you are allowing your alignment, the better you feel. The less you are allowing that alignment, the worse you feel. So much so that we call this allowing of alignment allowing. In other words, allowing your connection or disallowing your connection. Allowing or resisting. That's what your emotional guidance system is all about. So as you begin to pay attention to the way you feel, and you decide that you're going to make your journey an emotional journey rather than an action journey, now your guidance system can help you right now very quickly. Now here's what we mean by the difference between the action journey that so many of our action-oriented physical human friends attempt and the emotional journey, which we promise you as you get the hang of it, and you will here today if you want to, will free you. It is our promise. It will free you from the disallowance of anything that is important to you. Here's the difference. When you say, I'm sick and I want to be well, that seems like the journey. But in your action mind, you say, I need to find someone who understands what's wrong with me so that they can give me some solution that I can apply. I need some medicine, or I need some pill, or I need something that will help me to go from where I am, which is where I don't want to be, to where I want to be. Where an emotional and the action journey usually takes time. Enough time that if you stop and take score along the way, you do get disoriented in Yuma and end up back in Phoenix instead of continuing to progress to where you want to go. Where if you would make that an emotional journey, then what you say is, I want to find the feeling of relief that wellness will bring. I want to release the confinement of fear and replace it with the feeling of well-being. Hear the difference? Because you think, most of you think, that I need to make the journey into wellness and then I will have a feeling response to wellness. And what we're saying is, with far less effort than you think, you can transform the feeling into one of hopefulness. And when you shift your feeling just a little bit, now you are emitting a different vibrational signal, and now law of attraction will bring you what you're looking for. So when you say, I want more money, I need to find a way of making more money, I need to research my ancestry and see if there is anyone that is rich that is on the brink of dying, or I need to buy a lottery ticket and I need to buy enough of them that I increase my odds. I need to find out where those winning tickets are being purchased and I need to go purchase a lot of them there. Or I need to find a way of saving more money and I need to find an investment counselor that really knows what they are doing so that they can help me to increase my portfolio so that some years from now I will have more money. And we say, it's no wonder you get lost in the desert. Some of these action journeys are so huge and long and convoluted and have so many moving parts that you can't get your thoughts around them, where if you would understand that all you need to do is say, I want to find a way of feeling better about finances. I want to take the emotional journey of fear of bankruptcy or fear of not being able to pay my bills to a feeling of confidence and well-being that things are going to be all right. Because you can make the emotional journey in minutes. You can make the emotional journey in minutes or hours or a day or two, certainly no matter where you are, if you understand the process of making the emotional journey. The reason that most people get lost in the idea of it or have a hard time grasping the idea of it enough that they even want to try to play the game is because often you've been trying to make too big of a vibrational jump. If you are in despair or depression, if you are in those places of fear, when you are, for whatever reason, focused upon something and have been focused upon something long enough that you have pretty well established a vibration that's not allowing the well-being to flow to you, and someone says to you, you know you create your own reality. Your logical mind says that cannot be true or you would be dead. Your logical mind says if I created my own reality, you wouldn't be hounding me all the time about me creating my own reality. In other words, what you really feel is, if I could create my own reality, I wouldn't be in this mess. And the fact that I am must mean that there is somebody else or something else involved in it. And we say, it is not that there is something else involved in it. You are the only one involved in your vibrational point of attraction. It's just that you're offering vibrations and you don't know the potency or importance of the vibrations that you're offering. And so when you start getting a handle on this emotional journey, then you will begin to make the absolute correlation between what you're thinking and feeling and what's coming to you every single time. So as you're in this place of despair, let's say, for whatever reason, and someone says to you, the best words that we've ever heard offered in your physical environment were coined by Joseph Campbell when he said, follow your bliss. That's the key to success in all things. Absolutely true. But you don't have access to the feeling of bliss from your feeling of despair. The vibrational difference is too great, any more than you could set your tuner to 98.6 FM and hear what's being broadcast on 6:30 AM. In other words, there are different vibrational frequencies you're not going to hear. So when you say, well, if I cannot follow my bliss, what hope is there for me? We say, well, follow the trail of bliss. And the first step from depression along the trail of bliss may very well be for you anger. You say, well, that's doable. And isn't it? Can't you feel it? Have you ever been in a place of depression where you couldn't get a breath of air? And then you thought of something that made you angry, and didn't it feel better? You got to admit that anger feels a whole lot better than that depression, just like blame feels better than guilt. It does, doesn't it? Blame feels a lot better than guilt. There is so much more disempowerment in guilt. There is so much more loss of the feeling of freedom in guilt. So, if you were as most of you are as you come to these gatherings, usually vibrating somewhere between frustration and overwhelmment and joy. In other words, that's usually where your emotional set point is, different depending on the issue that you're focused upon, but usually in the upper registries. We would not counsel you into anger from your feeling of frustration. That's going the wrong way. That's turning around and going back to Phoenix. But if you are in despair, we will root for the breath of fresh air that anger would bring you. And the reason that we would coach you into anger is because we know that in that anger, you're going to feel some relief. And in that relief, you're going to have moved your point of attraction. It will have shifted a little bit. In other words, you're not as stuck in disallowing the well-being that you've been asking for as you were in your despair. Now, we would never say, just go to anger and stay there. Because from anger, you can easily get to frustration. And frustration is a big difference in feeling from anger. So are you getting the sense of this? What you're reaching for as you are moving up the emotional scale, what you're reaching for is the feeling of relief as you leave the resistance behind. So there is relief in anger. You know there is. And there is relief in frustration. You know there is. And there is relief in hopefulness. And then there's relief in belief. And there's absolute relief in knowing. In other words, you can feel when you release resistance, which is the only thing that is keeping any of you from what you are really wanting. You are pure, positive energy beings. You are God force in physical form. You are extensions of source energy, and life is supposed to be good for you. You are creators that flow the energy that creates worlds, and you are standing on the leading edge of thought. It is supposed to feel good for you. Life is supposed to be good to you. And when it isn't, it is only for one reason. You have picked up a habit of thought, and you've practiced the beating of that drum long enough that you have established it as a vibrational habit. And as you continue to feel that vibrational habit, unless you do something to change the way you feel, law of attraction is going to continue to bring you stuff that feels like that. And as law of attraction continues to bring you stuff that feels like that, and you observe the stuff that feels like that, and you justify the way you feel by the stuff that keeps coming, then we understand why you feel stuck. But we promise you, you're not. You just got a cadence going that you need to shift a little.